Left off with Esther 2:14, and that's where we're going to pick up. But let me go back and explain where we left off. Now the Queen Vashti, she refused to come to the king, not once but twice, which was in those days completely dishonoring him in front of all of the princes and all of the people. And in order to keep women from dishonoring their husbands and following suit, he pretty much kind of divorced her, but not really divorced her. And he made someone else the queen. Or he was going to make someone else the queen. So what's going on now is Esther has been brought with the rest of the virgins to be, put in front of the king so he can make his choice of who's going to be the queen. But her uncle, Mordecai, who is also her parent, told her not to tell him that she is Jewish. So she is keeping her word. And she's under preparations, and she had just finished this. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Sheshagaz, the king's eunuch, who kept the concubines. She could not go in the king again unless the king delighted in her and called for her by name. Now when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter, to go to the king, she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of the women, advised. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her, because she was very beautiful. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus in the royal palace in the 10th month, which is in the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of the reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins. So he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for all his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a holiday in the provinces and gave gifts according to the generosity of a king. When virgins were gathered together a second time, Mordecai sat with the king's gate. Now Esther had not revealed her family and her people, just as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther obeyed the commandment of Mordecai as when she was brought up by him. So she didn't give it away that she was Jewish. In those days, while Mordecai sat with the king's gate, two of the king's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, doorkeepers, became furious and sought to lay down on King Ahasuerus. So the matter became known as Mordecai, who told Queen Esther, and Esther informed the king of Mordecai's name. And when an inquiry was made into the matter, it was confirmed that both were hanged on the gallows, and it was written in the book of Chronicles in the presence of the king. So these eunuchs didn't like Mordecai, and they kind of made a big stink, and they ended up getting themselves hung over it because Mordecai was Queen Esther's uncle, and, well, they lost out. After these things, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes who were with him. And all the king's servants who were with the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman. For so the king had commanded concerning him, but Mordecai would not bow or pay homage to Haman. Then the king's servant who were with the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened when they spoke to him daily, and he would not listen to them, that they told it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's words would stand. For Mordecai had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him homage, Haman was filled with wrath, He was mad about it. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. So he didn't just get mad at Mordecai. He decided he's just going to wipe out all the Jews because he was mad at Mordecai. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast that is, the lot before Haman, to determine the day and month, until it fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom. Their laws are different from all our other peoples, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore, it is not fitting for the king to let them remain." So he's trying to turn the king against him, saying, well, they're different, and they don't obey your laws, so they can't remain. We need to take them out. That's what he was telling the king. "If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring it into the king's treasuries." So the king took the signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, an Agagite, and the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, "The money and the people are given to you, to do with them as seems good to you." So the king didn't question it. He just went along with it. Then the king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and a decree was written according to all the Haman commanded. To the king's satraps, to the governors who were over each province, to the officials of all people, to every province according to its script, and to every people in their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus, it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring. So he pretty much put a price on all the Jews' heads. And the letters were sent by couriers into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. So he was going to wipe them off the face of the earth. And a copy of the document was to be issued as law in every province, being published for all the people, that they should be ready for that day. The couriers went out and hastened to the king's command, and the decree was proclaimed in Shushan, the citadel. So the king had Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. When Mordecai learned all that had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes. He went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He went as far as the front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and decree arrived, there was a great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and eunuchs came and told her, and the queen was deeply distressed when she sent garments of clothes Mordecai and take his sackcloth away from him, but he would not accept them. So she was wanting him to hide him, and he wouldn't let her. Then Esther called Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai, to learn what and why this was. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square that was in front of the king's gate. Now we're going to leave it off there. That is 4:6, and we will do a part 3.